Hi, Rick here, and this is the final part of a three-part series marking out the layout of the Verse, the solar systems of Firefly. So far we've covered the inner colonies known as the core worlds, where the rich and prestigious live under the union of allied planets. We then looked at the border planets that are separate solar systems that orbit the white star, don't ask me how. Then there is the first of the two rim systems, Kalidasa. The border and the rim mark the areas of space with less of an Alliance presence, which is both a blessing and a curse. Whereas the Alliance is seen as meddlesome and forcing its will on others, the colonies could benefit from more of the Union's resources and protection, for it receives little of either. But the last solar system to explore may make you question the wisdom of having a strong Alliance presence. I feel like I should issue a spoiler warning for the film Serenity here, even though it's not exactly current, but there are people out there who have seen Firefly and not the film, and because it wraps up a lot, well, spoilers, I guess? Outside of even the orbital path of the Kalidasa system lies the final star, the furthest system with human inhabitants. Qinglong, the Blue Dragon system, also called the Blue Sun. This system orbits at a tilt because reasons. In 2420, Meridian was terraformed as well as its moon, Burnett, so only around 98 years before the start of the show. The next planet out from there is New Canaan. It is a ringed planet orbited by Urgarit and Lilac. Lilac was the moon seen in Serenity that was attacked by the Reavers during the Firefly's bank heist, and like many of the border and rim worlds, it's rather barren. Muir is the third planet with two moons, Arminius and Shepherd's Mission. Shepherds being a name for a type of priest or monk from the Firefly lore, suggesting this may be a point of some significance. Then again, we've seen names like Bob and God's Force Aiken, so it could be named ironically. Then there is a gas giant called Fury that has not been helioformed. It has 9 moons, Coldstone, Blackwood, Ataraxia, Seventh Circle, Nipmuc, Ingame, Iscariot, Katrina and Sakura, 3 of which are inhabited. Then there is an expansive asteroid belt called the Ouroboros, named after the snake that eats its own tail, forming a ring. It's around 1.5 AU thick. Highgate is the next planet and it has 2 moons, Perth and Stonewall, the latter of which is connected to Highgate by a space elevator, the only one in the verse. Then there's a second gas giant, Dragon's Egg, with 5 moons, Eudistria, Bhima, Nakula, Sadeva and Glynis. Next was the planet Deadwood, which was the location of the Heart of Gold brothel. Orbiting Deadwood was Haven, which bore home to the community Shepherd Book settled down on. His settlement, and possibly others, was massacred on the Alliance operatives' orders in 2518. Pour one out for the lost. Then there was this system's only protostar, Burnham. Orbiting this unnatural star is a completely insignificant planet called Miranda with nothing important. It's a failed terraforming planet that never worked out, take my word for it, don't go check. It had 1 moon, Caliban. Surrounding this planet is a flotilla of vessels and derelicts occupied by the Reavers, who raid the rim and occasionally border from the space surrounding this furthest point. The Reavers are savage, once humans, who act out on instinct and primal violence. They have memory and reason enough to be able to fly their ships and operate technology, but lack the foresight or desire to maintain them. This leads to them constantly pillaging for food and resources as their current vessels fail. They mutilate their ships and themselves with the remains of their prizes and favour any weapon that leaves a mess. Suffice to say, these horrors quickly became the subject of nightmares and rumour amongst the verse, with many in the core and some in the Alliance not even believing in their existence. Of course, it turns out that Miranda is the origin of the Reavers, due to a failed and immoral Alliance experiment where after the Unification War, the Union of Allied Planets looked for a way to placate a population and tested a gaseous compound on Miranda. It killed all of its inhabitants but drove 0.1% of the population insane, Therefore, Miranda is a quarantined planet, with the cover being spread of a failed terraforming incident. Failed terraforming can be disastrous and is not an uncommon occurrence as seen in the last part, especially this far from the core, with even successful conversions producing a myriad of unforeseen quirks. No one was ever able to confirm this, however, due to the Reaver presence. These 5 systems mark out the known verse, as well as numerous space stations along trade routes run by the Alliance and independent companies. There are also a number of terraformed planetoids in key positions that act as relay stations for the Cortex, the verse-spanning information network. It is on one of these that the self-termed Mr.Universe lives and sells his extracted information. These planets are surrounded by energy fields caused by the intense flow of information and signals that can cause a navigational nightmare and interfere with long-range scans, but can be safely traversed. There are 4 in the border space and 11 orbiting the White Star at the same range as the Kalidasa system for coverage into the Rim. Despite this, however, connections are spotty, even in the core, with even planets such as Osiris having blackout zones, but most common dropouts were experienced during deep space travel. Beyond all of this is the edge, just more space, as Jane Cobb puts it. But it's from that edge that mankind originally emigrated. So that is the layout of the verse according to the official map. And as you can see, there's plenty of space for numerous stories and locales. The inner systems, known as the core, are older and far more stable, with fewer worlds with extreme climates, while the border and the rim worlds have a far harsher, often drier climate. While you don't have to deal with the Alliance patrols in the Rim as often as they ought, you do run the risk of Reaver attacks, which many agree is far worse. But there we have it. The star cluster was picked for its high number of planets, while even more moons and such were discovered as they approached the system. It all orbits this singular white star, the core system, hence the name. Thanks for watching this vid. It took a very long time to put all of this together, and I hope you can see why I didn't want to cram all of this into one video and rush through it. So, thanks for making this journey with me, and until next time, I'll see you around. Have a shiny day, Captains. Goodbye.